So as the title should say, this is a 0.5 video, and I'm changing my OBS audio settings, so if you hear the mouse clicks and the clickety-clacks of the keyboard, it's because I disabled the noise, or I switched my settings for noise suppression for World of Horror specifically, because I'm not really pressing the keyboard as much when I'm playing this game, Cult Ath. But otherwise, as the thumbnail may show, and if it doesn't show, basically we're playing a base character, probably going to be Aiko, as we move on here. I already forgot what my backstory was. I know we're on Ath, I'm just going to say Summon Curse, which is very, very convenient for us. So, as we get into Ath, Aiko stuff, we do have the custom mysteries because the only perm things we will likely be seeing is Seashell and or Taxi. But Charisma, Knowledge, Strength, Light, oh my goodness, I'm going crazy. Taxi-san, maybe a second mystery check. And another reason why I'm playing Aiko is because I saw some comments about Aiko in the community, and you know, I might as well, I felt like playing Aiko. So yeah, but otherwise, I can speak a bit on that. I mean, I might as well give my own opinion. I've given it before, and I might have even just contradicted myself at times. But as we get Akamanto, Bulletin, Loom, and Seashells, with Vigil as well, I think we just Bulletin first regardless, right? Yeah, because Loom shouldn't have a boss. We do have Akamanto as well. Yeah, we take Bulletin first. So, on the topic of Aiko, because there's literally going to be no perm things until we get into Seashells, just checking the history club really quickly. Aiko's a pretty, again, I can be persuaded for her to be third in terms of like how good is she overall. Actually, higher accuracy, more attacks, we're going to go for it. Might as well use perm stuff while we're using perm. But otherwise, Aiko stuff, again, I think even back when I made my own tier list for, hold on a second. We can fight this, I'm pretty sure. Also forgot to take the plush toy, but we'll deal with that after because we're Aiko, we can do whatever we want. Yeah, I made an objective and a subjective tier list. I don't remember the exact placings of all characters, but I do know, I think in both versions that I made, Aiko, Toshiaki, and Ayako were all top 3 and in some order. I don't think that's normally debatable, minus Akana using, you know, doing Kana things, and if you don't know, I'll explain shortly here, might as well. But Kana does not suffer from max stamina, max reason losses. The reason why this is important is because there are 2 specific spells called Ghostly Spear and Mind Drain. In fact, you saw one of them, I think, at the very beginning of the video before I reset, but those respectively lower your max stamina and max reason to deal damage in an encounter. And when that happens, when you're using Kana, you don't, basically there's no cost. Now, whether this gets changed or not, depends. I mean, no one's going to complain either way because Kana still has a lot of other things you can do with max stamina and max reason. And the fact that you take pretty much only Doom damage as Kana, barring some weird, you know, I think using the Monument as Kana still makes you lose the run if you lose stamina and reason through the monument. But aside from those niche cases, overall, generally being able to ignore stamina and reason loss is very helpful, more times than not. I would say probably like a 70-30 split. 70% of the time, it's more you really want to lose Doom instead of just dying to stamina and reason. And this has gone to something that I've mentioned before, where if your stamina and reason are lower, and your Doom maxes out at 100%. So yes, you'll get situations where you might have, you know, 60% Doom at the end of your first mystery, but that's to avoid dying to stamina and reason. That's not the end-all be-all because the run just hasn't ended yet. So when that happens to you, you still might actually win. The most obvious example is that you finish your first mystery, but then you have like Akamanto, Recluse, and Scissors right on top of them. The reason why, if you don't know the reason why these 3 mysteries together, are such a big deal, it's because your Doom is going to increase by not a lot overall when you're doing all 3 of these mysteries, particularly for Akamanto, specifically when you are getting the mask, and therefore decreasing your Doom by 10. Recluse, you're not losing Doom a lot when you are in the middle of the apartment. Yes, granted, you're fighting a Reason Ghost boss, but still, that's a lot better than being in Bulletin here and me forgetting that I need to do the side quest. So we say no, and you're going through 8 investigations as opposed to Recluse, where I think it's 7 last I counted. And even if it wasn't, there are events like the Bath that can decrease Doom. A lot of the events are trading off stamina for reason, which I argue in a regular World of Horror run, without perm or any custom content, you're losing more reason, so you trade stamina for reason, you're like, oh, that's fine with me. And then we have Scissors, which is, I think, just 5 investigations last I remember counting, and that's 5 Doom at minimum, which is a lot better than 7 Doom at minimum, plus events, so... I kind of flipped my hand to kind of do a little exaggeration, even though I have no webcam, but you get the point. And in this regard, if you throw Aiko on top of that, having faster actions in general, on top of now getting the plush toy, which decreases damage by 1, on Harbinger difficulty specifically, yes, I'm saying all of these details because they're important, Aiko's quite strong. It's really hard for her to go past, you know, 5th best character in World of Horror overall. Again, it depends. To each their own criteria. I look at a vacuum of quick play runs when all settings are randomized on Harbinger of Doom difficulty, but some people, you know, base their opinions more on looking at every single run and trying to amalgamate them to some kind of average, which is probably the case as well. And it depends. It depends on how you like to play World of Horror and how you look at characters and how good they are in certain things. And then maybe you could, because you note that I didn't throw endless mode in the mix. You could throw endless mode in the mix. You could do a whole host of things. Also, I am just, as you've noticed here, I'm even just autopiloting playing. Like, I've never felt more comfortable playing as a character aside from maybe Ayaka and Toshiaki. In fact, only playing those two would I be more likely to feel as comfortable. And then Kana, if I allow myself to. The reason why I don't say Kana as much unless I use a more objective list, I think objective, or is it subjective, is when Kana has either of those two spells. There are a couple other things that Kana can use that have to do with max stamina, max reason, because Kana, they're not affected by that effect. But anyway, I think I'm entering Akamanto without grabbing the handcuffs, and we have 3 reason left. So let's find out if we can do this properly. 2 minus 2 all isn't the worst thing in the world, so in fact, I know I don't have the handcuffs, but actually, first off, let's just do this and see if we get 3rd attack. Afterward, I think this is guaranteed 12 plus 4. 12 plus 8, yeah. This should be a guarantee. Okay, yeah, 20 damage on demand without any bonus damage. So, again, Aiko things. Aiko plus butterfly knife. I keep calling it a butter knife. Very different things, but I haven't even got, I don't think I got Fast Swimmer, right? Yeah, no, I haven't. I was trying to figure out what the actual, if I was getting the name right, but anywho. Yeah, I mean, I'm totally autopiloting here. I didn't grab the handcuffs, didn't do the thing in the first mystery. I'm already forgetting what I did, so just goes to show how powerful Aiko can be. We can even store the Crestfallen Mask. We're doing our 3rd mystery with 35% Doom. That's very good Doom-wise. And this is kind of just, if nothing else, your average, hey, what's happening in a run, and I narrate through it. Granted, we're working with custom events and mysteries, but still, I think Akamanto was the hardest thing we fought so far. Actually, I just reasoned myself out, so that's a funny way to end the video. You know what, no, we'll do another run. So we're gonna quick play again. Oh, that's me. But anyway, a though to exquisite taste, huh? We're still gonna play Aiko just to kind of autopilot through. I think most of my autopilot Aiko runs have gone relatively well, and by that I mean I won. And if not, well, feel free to correct me now. But as we actually get into an Athotu run, which is harder than Ath 7th Curse run, for the reasons of, hey, you don't have funds and Ath isn't affecting Aiko. 2nd mystery, light, charisma, 2nd encounter, knowledge, maybe Takushi-san. But on an Athotu run, you still have, you know, it's not as bad either because you have the plush toy, so you're effectively just dealing more damage to other enemies. On top of maybe you get Kana and they mitigate 1 damage for you, then everything works out. Unfortunately, that's not the case, but Metamorphosis, Diary, Flood, Loom. So, Metamorphosis, Diary, and I think Flood specifically. So, let's do Diary now. I'm pretty sure, yeah, this one has the Boxer. And if I'm wrong, well, sadness. So, yeah, I used to run Prepare on Exquisite Taste. I think I've just started picking Rest. I've noticed that I've suffered a lot more for doing it. Now, that being said, I also forgot that I didn't enable a shop, but Kick Aiko isn't going to be the worst thing in the world. Also, we don't have the plush toy, but we're still Aiko. Like, I promise you, this is not as bad as it looks. But we'll see. Police station downtown. I saw hospital, but then downtown. We don't have ward, we don't have coma. No point putting the police patrols in the high, max level hospital. We're probably, yeah, and if I'm wrong about that, well, we'll find out. I just know for sure that we don't have a lot of hospital investigations. Foreknowledge, you know what, go for it. Nope, why not? And yeah, off we go. So we have Metamorphosis, we have Kick Aiko. Is this going to work out? Well, if the game keeps rolling 12s with +1 modifiers, no. But it's not over till it's over. Like, again, by all means, the run I just did, I just blank autopiloted myself to death. But here I am being a bit more attentive, but still autopiloting, and I promise you that we could probably get just as far, just as easily. That being said, only being able to do one kick hurts, but we'll deal. We can also handcuff this enemy. So 3, and I think next turn we just guarantee. I could have thrown out the 4 kick strat because Aiko can immediately 4 kick, but if we are benefiting from it though too, we might as well use it though two things. Okay, good. Didn't want to take the stamina damage. Was that less investigations, or did I really autopilot through 7 investigations and not realize? Anyway, the upside to not taking a weapon as Aiko specifically, because Aiko is Aiko, is that your doom is going to be relatively low. So that is still a positive, even though I am autopiloting quite a lot. We're going to Metamorphosis, funny enough, because Flood we can actually try and rest. Normally, I might go the other way, but this time I'm going to do Metamorphosis first, just in case we can pick up an item from our weapon from one of these random location events. We're going to be visiting, like, I think 4 locations, so hey. But aside from that, yeah, so they're just paying attention. I didn't know that was Doom, but seeing Doom is a lot better. Running into the Burning Man is excellent, by the way. So, as I get to autopilot for a moment, yeah, Aiko's fast actions, 4 kicks immediately. If you can prepare, you get a damage mitigation. She has fast swimmer when you level up. She has running shoes if you need to run away. You have discipline when you're probably going to survive some checks. And even if you're on ill-fated, a lot of characters suffer from ill-fated runs anyway. So there's a lot that Aiko has over most other characters in most situations. Now, again, there are very specific situations in which Aiko may be a bit weaker, but they're few and far between, because other characters, again, in those same situations, most other characters would have it likely worse, if not meh, around the same level. And I personally think the primary reason for that, at least with base World of Horror, events, enemies, and mysteries, is that I think encounters are by far, no, probably at least 75% of the reason why your runs are a lot harder than they are. By the way, Iron Pipe. But, again, if it's encounters, but even through events, Aiko's stats are not bad anyway, because, well, a lot of the base characters have pretty even stats, and when they're not even, they have something to make up for it. But if you were to start out with, on average 6 stats with maybe like 4 knowledge in the case of Aiko, it's not so bad. It's when you have 3 knowledge for ghost encounter severs that things get iffy. If you have 4 or less strength, you have trouble bracing, let alone bracing against the school in Teacher. When you have 7 dexterity and you need 8 for a dexterity check, it's nice to be able to have that. Perception is great for lowering your doom in, downtown perception checks, so on and so forth. I can remember all this off the top of my head. That being said, it's not the end-all be-all, but Aiko definitely has a lot going for her in terms of just being average there. Lost the dust, by the way. But since we have a bunch of ammunition, boy oh boy do we get to profit. Reveal ourselves, run. 7 dexterity, nope. Roll 11, the game is trying its hardest to stop me, but it's likely not going to be able. Basically, if you pick, so the short version of all of this, the bottom of the line, the bottom of the barrel end line is that if you're playing Aiko, you should minimum have a chance of 70% chance to survive a run, if you have some idea of what you're doing in World of Horror. If you're playing on Harbinger and just going in blind, things are gonna hurt. Things are gonna hurt quite a bit. But as we can brace here, and probably even throw the Iron Pipe while we're attacking, yeah, you get to... Aiko... Man, Aiko is a character. Now again, that being said, so now we get into the kind of separate part of that, not argument, but discussion, of basically talking about Ayaka, Toshiaki, and even Kana, but Kana I've already said what Kana's main strengths are. We might as well kick here, by the way. But yeah, Kana, max stamina, max reason. You lose Doom, but usually you have a lot of Doom to work with, especially when you get a lucky run. In the case, and as we move on, that's the short version, but we kind of go into explaining Ayaka and Toshiaki. We'll start with Ayaka, because Toshiaki I can remember off the top of my head. Ayaka, I just have to say it as I remember, but Ayaka, when you have 6 or more curses, probably even 5 minimum, I don't remember the exact threshold from time to time, but when you have 5 or 6 curses, you grab Blood Mania from the History Club, or if you want to be a bit riskier but save on Doom, you wait for a level up, get Blood Mania, kick everything, if you can brace, sure, if you know how to do math, but otherwise just kick everything. You'll see yourself go a lot farther in most runs, more than most other characters in general. But Ayaka's other perks aren't bad as well. Doom Effigy, any Doom decrease is nice. Eldritch Possession stops you from getting 0 statted by double flashbacks or something like that. And just to kind of devil's advocate ourselves for the moment, yeah, you're not going to run into flashbacks most of the time, but to steel man it, Ayaka getting Eldritch Possession early, if you can't get Blood Mania or you're just unlucky, Eldritch Possession can hold you until you get Blood Mania later on, because the stat increase from 4 or 5 curses, it might just be 2 at most, but that 2 is going to make a difference, I promise you. Also, I forgot to grab ammunition, but we're Aiko, so we can just sit here and do whatever we want. Now, the only time we can't is if this one school investigation decides to slap us in the face, but we get funds instead, so shrug. But yeah, I think I've said most about Ayaka. I'm trying to remember if there's anything else I've forgotten importantly, but I don't think there is. I'm just making sure for the next 30 seconds. Ayaka, there's Blood Mania, Doom Effigy, Eldritch Possession. Oh, her amulet as well. So yes, she gets curses, but maybe if you're lucky, a lot of those curses are things that don't hurt you as much, like curse signs. Hey, I'm not using spell. You get double curse signs. It's like, oh, okay, doesn't really matter. And then maybe you get, maybe 1 stack of brain damage or something, maybe hunger, but you don't need the charisma anyway. So it's like, oh, yeah, that's great. And then maybe later on you get flashbacks, or you get branded on your second mystery, and you're like, oh, I can finally use Ayaka's starting item to get rid of that curse among the other 2 curses that you get. And then again, in general, aside from a few curses that may stack, maybe not, you don't really worry about them, because the buffs you get from Eldritch Possession, especially Blood Mania, and to some extent Doom Effigy, are going to balance out the negatives of those curses. Even if they're, proc curses where you proc stamina, you lose reason, or you lose reason, you proc stamina loss, you're gonna either have a lot of Doom by way of just smashing enemies over and over, or you get Eldritch Possession and you're smashing the events because your stats are all like 10 plus, 9 plus. So, man, not being able to hit this makes me really sad, but we'll deal. I don't want to lose 4 reason in 1. Maybe I should have maybe I should just take 4 reason in 1. Yeah. It's, I get more. Do I get more damage like this? Well, we're going to hit it because we get guaranteed anyway. Yeah, I think with Brace, it's not guaranteed. So that's why I would rather do this. Now, at a certain point, I do need to trade off stamina. It would be in my best interest to trade off stamina, but we'll wait for a moment. Yeah, so here I think we trade 4 stamina for 2 reasons so we can survive. And right after that, I think we even just throw the Iron Pipe to guarantee this. Is this real? This should be real, right? Yeah, this should be enough. If it's not, I'm going to toss this Iron Pipe, which we thankfully did. 14 HP. Okay, I nearly got that wrong. That's right, though 2 damage is affecting us on top of, I think, bonus damage? Or I thought bonus damage? Anyway, we have more Iron Pipes where that came from. I'm not too worried. But let's... we're missing reason. We'll do that. At a certain point, I should not be using Iron Pipes, because if I throw Iron Pipes, I'm going to inventory bug myself, which is something I haven't had to worry about for a while, unless Perm fixes that. But let's heal reason and take running shoes, funny enough. And footage or loom. We'll do loom first, just in case. But we have running shoes and 27% doom. We should be fine. If an event hurts us, though, we go rest. That's the end-all, be-all of the situation. Keeping in mind that we're on a Thotu. That being said, if we run into an enemy, we can just absolutely destroy with throwing items. Yeah, this is Burning Man, but also Aiko. Aiko, anyone else would not have been able to Iron Pipe prep attack there. Shrug. Oh, that's a free out too. Hey, I'll remember that. But anyway, I guess tangent off topic for a moment. The reason why this video is likely coming out as a 0.5 episode is because I'm probably doing something within the 24-hour range of this video being recorded and released, so I couldn't focus on making anything basically. Oh, really? Well, hey. But anyway. I could equip like a broken bottle or something, but I don't want to. So, we're going to keep those iron pipes with us for the moment. Actually, you know what I might do? Because these are fast to equip. I could throw the iron pipe I'm holding, and I'm pretty sure that doesn't proc the... or that doesn't cause the inventory bug. But, hey, we have Doom 2. We have Doom. We have the power. Now, what we might not have is resting, so we might as well. This gets rid of the restless bonus, but just to make sure, I'm pretty sure Loom doesn't have it. I'm thinking of another mystery. In fact, a recent episode has shown me that, but maybe I just forgot something and I actually avoided a boss. I'm pretty sure that's not the case, but let's just be safe. We have 44% Doom. We have the power. You know what we don't have, though? A lot of damage to throw here, but with the power of the Iron Pipe, maybe... I think the Iron Pipe does do 3, so yeah, we can throw this Iron Pipe and deal 5 damage. I consider this forgivable because I consider throwing items to be a free action there, but maybe you don't agree, so if you don't want to do that to make yourself feel cooler, because you're like, how can you attack with a weapon if you throw it? Shrug! You know, I should have actually tested equipping the Iron Pipe that I had while the launch action sequence is going, just to see if I ran into a bug, but anyway... So into footage we go. We have a no threat level forest, not a low one even. We could try, but no. And just taking out the rest of our ammunition. In fact, I would need to throw the other Iron Pipe first, so all things considered, fun times ahead. I don't know why I started using that phrase, but I started using that phrase, so hey. You know what? Yeah, let's still investigate the mansion to lower the amount of forest investigations we have to do. But otherwise, I should not be recording at the time. I should actually be asleep right now, because yeah, I have a very busy 12-24 hours ahead of me. So, nothing... Well, I think we had a dexterity check? Or maybe I was wrong. I can't remember. I'm just going to take stamina to be safe. We have the Doom, we have the power. The reason why I don't have to worry as much, and I think I accidentally took another thing, but we can just run away because running shoes, is that even if we miss every single stat check in the lighthouse, we got to use folklore size. We can just rest at the lighthouse and just tank it. I promise you, I could probably rest like 10 times and be fine at the lighthouse. Resting at home, actually we might still be fine. In fact, we got out of that in our second investigation, which I think is the earliest possible thing. So not only was this run relatively easy, even though we're on a Thotu and we're playing as Aiko, the fact that we're playing as Aiko likely helped things along. So do we have the 6th floor? No, we don't. So we can just do this. Not that. We can just do this and be Mariana. I can just keep clicking and be happy. But yeah, without further ado, didn't get to play Seashells again, but we did play other mysteries. Not a lot of perm to display because with base characters, can't really add perm things to the character, but you could add, say, events here and there that proc based on the character. Now, whether or not that actually happens is up to whatever person creates, but without further ado, without taking too much more of your time, if you have anything to say, you want to support me, you know what to do. Otherwise, thank you for watching, and I'll see you later. Bye!